straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro! It's the wars!
So I heard it from a friend who said this episode was worth checking out. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing good, Joe. Wow.
Is that
bad? I'm not going to say it was bad, but
I will.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Oh, good.
So mission accomplished. I wasn't messing around, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, boy.
So joining us again, Hunter, welcome back, man. So
back.
far, it's so good.
Back.
So far, so good. It seems like we might actually have you every week.
Hey, well, I promised. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Same. So, of course, this week we're talking about Season 1, Episode 3 of Ahsoka. If you didn't catch my crappy reference, the episode's called Time to Fly.
Nice.
So, all right, guys, what do you think? Okay, I got to say this right away. This episode, one thing stood out to me after our conversation last week. Hunter, were you satisfied that Jason made it into this episode?
Yes. I thought it was very funny because, like, I saw a lot of people complaining or at least asking, like, hey, where's Jason? Where's Jason? And I know this is already recorded and filmed and edited and stuff, but it almost seemed like, oh, crap, we forgot about Jason. Let's throw him in for this 1 minute little thing. It almost seemed like they saw what the fans were saying and then just added that. But it's all part of the plan, I guess. But yes, him having green hair was very funny. And he looked a lot less weird than the end of Rebels.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
He still looks a little weird. But, I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of a weird combination of, you know.
Hey, that's not nice. Come on, that's a kid, man. I got this from Doug once. I called a kid this. I said a kid looked weird.
Yeah.
Doug, let me have it, man.
You know.
That was in The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say weird. I said ugly kid, didn't I?
Oh, see, that's different.
I think
Weird
so.
kid
It was way
special.
worse. Way worse. Yeah. Totally not a good look.
Right.
You know, you spend so many years watching Star Wars in animation. You just kind of you could say it's an ugly kid. It's animation. They drew it weird.
I mean, it was ugly in animation. I think the kid played it well.
Right.
Nah, it's not on the kid, though. No, but speaking of, I guess, Hera, I actually really liked what they did with her this episode. It felt more like Hera to me. And besides just saying something funny to Chopper and talking about Jason, it seemed like she was right out of Rebels instead of being a different kind of character, at least what I saw her as.
You were alone on that, if I remember right.
I was alone. But I also did say, I remember saying that I think all my problems would be fixed with more episodes. So maybe part of it is me just being accustomed to the new actors, or if it's just they're better this episode.
Wow, good out.
It's a great out, really.
Yeah, it was actually pretty solid. I had a bunch of things to say, and then you said that. It's like, damn it.
Yep, gotta cover all my bases.
I did say this. Oh,
the only thing, I guess, to play a little devil's advocate, I think Hera would help even if they told her, we're not giving you resources. I think that was the only thing I was like, that seems a little odd. Because, like, she's a hero. I don't know. It's a little weird.
It's a little different
I think that
now.
nails the bureaucratic process really well, though.
Sure. The fact is, though, that now she is a general for the Republic, whereas before she was a rebel, kind of operating her own little group. So she can't just jump in her ship and go.
I feel like she could. I mean, all the people in the council were pretty much like, oh, the Empire's not a threat anymore. It doesn't matter. We're winning.
True.
Which again, like, oh my God, they're really just stressing how stupid the New Republic is. Like, not a single person is competent.
Oh no, the New Republic's terrible.
It's horrible. Like, not even a single person is using a single brain cell. Like, oh, were you in the war? Nope. I don't know anything about this.
That right there, I did like that because, that comment from Hera to Kaz's dad was like, an outburst you could expect from her, kind of,
Yeah, but she did it in a way that was more like snippy instead of yelling.
True.
Which I thought was very Hera.
Yes.
So I like that a lot. I just thought, Hera at this point, like, she sees how idiotic the New Republic is. I feel like she would be like, oh, let's go help. And we did see her have an outburst when Ezra was talked about, which I really liked.
Yes.
That was like that motherliness coming out, which I think I was missing. I didn't really have that like emotion in the first 2 episodes, but this, like, there was some anger there was some fear there. I like
the
that.
motherly thing in the first 2 episodes, it was tenderness, right? It was the, like, did you really give Sabine a chance? Like, those kind of moments. And I thought that really came out in Hera. Like, that was the Hera stuff to me.
That's like, totally fair. I think dialogue wise, you're right. I just didn't feel it either acting wise or emotional wise. Which I do want to rewatch the series once it's all out, so I can maybe see it like and be more used to the actor, because I think that would help a lot.
Well, I can see why you feel better after this episode a little bit, because after this episode, I really felt like so far Hera is my favorite character in this series, and that's sad to say because I'm here for Ahsoka. Ahsoka's my favorite character, but so far in this series, Hera is the one that shines to me.
Interesting.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, Ahsoka's been fine.
Yeah.
After this week, I'm kind of on board with you guys with what you said last week. I want a little more Ahsoka snark, right?
So we got a little bit later on when she was like going out to fight off the ships, which I thought was nice because she was kind of being not cocky, but like more, I guess, sarcastic to Sabine, like, hey, fix this or we're dead.
Right.
But she said it in kind of a joking manner, which I liked. But yeah, I'm glad you finally see the way.
Yeah, it was it was more like, I thought with the first 2 episodes, like, look, this is the setup, like the situation didn't really warrant it, age and time and war, like, so, but this week there were so many opportunities for at least a little bit of that to show up, and it didn't. So yes, the move to go out onto the wing, I saw that as a very Ahsoka-like move. Mainly because it was a very Anakin in the Clone Wars kind of move.
Extremely Anakin. Right.
So I really dug that.
And Plo Koon.
Yes.
Yeah. Plo Koon literally did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I always forget he trained her first. But yeah.
So
I think it's funny. You say Hera is your favorite character, but Hui Yang, the robot,
I'm digging that character.
He is incredible. He is somehow everything wrong with the old Jedi Order and why they fell, but being like a sarcastic asshole the whole time.
Right.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I loved Sabine. He's still doing this.
Yeah.
Programming.
Yep.
That was a nice little thing from Ahsoka right there. Programming.
It was. They kept
Yes.
having it back and forth.
The thing I like about him, and I'm with you guys. I like the character, but I was just mainly, when I said that, I'm talking about your main characters in it, like the Rebels crew, right?
Yeah.
Of the Rebels crew so far, Hera is the one that stands out to me. But yeah, Hu Yang, like, the thing I like about him is that is the exact character we saw in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
It's exact. And I dig that.
Yep. Totally.
There is no, and it should be because it's a droid. Time isn't going to change anything. War isn't going to change anything.
Right.
It's a droid.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same character we saw in the Clone Wars, and I love that.
I love the literal, how literal he is about everything, right? You are the worst trainee I've ever seen. It's like, okay, so it's like, yeah.
It feels so good too. Just Ahsoka's like, you said that, like almost breaking
Exactly.
her out of her slump
Right.
that we saw
Yeah.
after Rebels. So I feel like that literally just that one comment showed me that, yeah, that's still Ahsoka under there. She's just had so much trauma and like death in her life that there's definitely some walls up, I guess.
A little jaded from it, like.
Very much.
Yeah.
And it did seem like when she was training Sabine, like, you need to be you. So she's still not saying, like, you need to be a Jedi, you need to be exactly this. You just need to be the best you, which I liked a lot.
I like that because we are still running under the Ahsoka I am no Jedi path. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which,
despite
those
the
moments-
crawl.
Those moments, especially Ahsoka saying, I don't need her to be a Jedi.
Right.
And Ahsoka saying, well, that's where they failed. Like, those were moments we needed after, especially the first two episodes, and just the way the dialogue's working. You got them referring to her as a Jedi. The Jedi's in the forest. This and that. Balin's like talking about it. There's so few Jedi left. It's like, Ahsoka's not a Jedi. She hasn't been a Jedi for a long time.
Right.
And she keeps getting referred to as a Jedi. And I really wasn't, it was, I wouldn't say off-putting, but a little bit, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it off-putting because she uses the Force in a lot of the same ways a Jedi would, okay? But she is just not, that strict, disciplined order that the Jedi, had. She's not a part of that anymore,
I feel like it's off-putting to us as people who have watched everything that's happened to her in the way of like people calling her Jedi, at least to me, it feels like an insult. When to them, it's probably just, oh, she's using the Force. Anyone that uses the Force is a Jedi, because that makes sense. Because a lot of people don't know anything about the actual order.
But that's going to come from the guy that says, oh, you're right, we're no Jedi.
Right.
Like, I don't buy that. And they know who Ahsoka Tano is.
Yeah.
And Balin is one of those characters that would have been there in the order at the time that Ahsoka walked away.
Right.
Because he was in no,
maybe.
they said he was in the order, and he hasn't been seen since the end of the Clone Wars. Ahsoka walked away in the middle of the Clone Wars.
That's a true statement.
Yeah. Well, did we get a confirmation? I could be totally wrong. I know from at least the trailers, Balin knows Anakin, but did he mention like that he knew Ahsoka?
I would assume that a Jedi fighting during the Clone Wars that knows Anakin Skywalker would know his apprentice that fought alongside him in the Clone Wars,
Right.
Ahsoka Tano.
I mean, we didn't for a long time until Clone Wars came out. But I was thinking, like...
That's because we're not in it.
Right.
I know. I was saying, like, Anakin, even in the universe, is almost like a superhero. I feel like everyone knew his name in the Clone Wars.
That is true. They kind of allude to that.
But an apprentice who trained with him for maybe 2 years, like, I don't know how long it actually was, but...
Yeah, but the fame didn't stop with Anakin. Because, I mean, they've made this apparent, too. Anakin wasn't the only famous part about Anakin. It's funny to say it like that. The name Anakin wasn't the only famous part about Anakin in the Clone Wars. The 501st is a very famous name.
Sure.
And serving as a general in the 501st alongside Anakin Skywalker's Ahsoka Tano. So I don't think you can have this general who's famous, this unit who's famous, and miss the other general.
That's fair.
Commander, right? Like
that's fair. It's just the more they do stuff like this, the more they introduce new characters that supposedly know all of the ones we already know, the smaller the galaxy feels. And
I'm pretty sure Balin, like, he had a pretty good idea because he knew that Sabine was Ahsoka's apprentice. So the guy's informed.
That's true. Actually, how would...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's getting harder and harder to believe that, like, okay, we watched all of Clone Wars, all the movies, all of Rebels, and we've never heard of this guy. It's like, okay, where was he? How did they know each other? It's just, that's all I'm saying.
But at the height of the Clone Wars, there were thousands of Jedi spread out across the galaxy.
They said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do we know? Like 30?
Exactly.
Actually, don't. Yeah, I wonder what the count actually is. I feel like it's definitely less than 100, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So.
But I do like Balin, even though we didn't get much of him this episode. It was just a very abrupt end, yeah.
With some very, very cryptic facial features, right? Like
yeah.
his looks. I'm like, does this dude know he is about to die or something?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was very weird. I know. Honestly, it's kind of morbid, but I did kind of look out for that. Like I'm thinking of that during this. Like, it's a little morbid, but
yeah, but like the reason I felt that way, especially, is because in the second episode, Morgan turns to him and says, "What do you see?" And he like takes a moment, closes his eyes. It seems like this is one of his talents, is seeing into the future, into the Force, things like that. So when you have a character that you're establishing that, and then you have a moment where he pauses, looks concerned, you feel like he's seeing some event that is either not going to work out for him or his apprentice.
Yeah.
That's I definitely didn't think about that. What I've seen from him so far, he reminds me of a Jedi Master before the prequels came out. So like in the EU, where it was all like, oh, it's more you just feel stuff and it kind of works, instead of it being like, oh, I know this exact skill.
Right.
That was more the vibe I was getting.
Okay.
Like, you know how old Jedi were written, like even like Sabayoth or whatever in the original Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
How he could just kind of do stuff.
Yes.
I guess that's the vibe I was getting.
Now
off of him.
Jedi have specialties.
Yeah.
Sabayoth had a specialty though.
Yeah, he was like Jedi meditation, right?
Yeah, the battle meditation kind of thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like how they explained it in the books, how they could just kind of do stuff. Like Force lightning wasn't a big deal. It was just, oh, you can do this or whatever. And it was kind of how Luke can feel things how he was like, oh, Vader's on that ship, stuff like that. It felt very like original trilogy to me.
Yep.
Yeah. But they didn't say, what do you feel? What do you see? It just had a vibe to me.
That's fair. It would be cool if that's like one of his, we find out later on, like he's specifically good at that stuff. That could be cool.
Yeah, kind of premonition attuned, right?
Yeah. Because as we saw, like they didn't send him out to hunt down Ahsoka. They sent Shin out. So maybe he's more of a support kind of deal. I get that he's probably the last line of defense in case she did get there, but still. Would be cool if he's not that much of a fighter, even though we saw him kill a couple of people in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know, but it seems like once you fall from the light, now granted they're not Sith, right? They're Dark Jedi or whatever. But it definitely seems that once you fall from the light, you don't get hands-on unless you have to. You always send your apprentice. The Emperor didn't go out looking for all kinds of stuff. No, he was sending Vader. Vader was the one that went. The apprentice always goes. It's just kind of their way.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's long-standing, right?
No, you are right.
Like,
I was thinking Bane and Zana, because they definitely give me that vibe a lot.
I actually just reread those, so that one was actually right at my forefront, forefront of my mind. Like, Zana was doing everything.
Yep.
Bane was hanging back.
Yeah, well, he was super hurt and like morbidly disgusting with those Orbalisks for a while, but still, it was like, you're my spy. You do my dirty work.
But I mean, yeah, even after the Orbalisks were gone, though.
Yeah.
Zana was off doing stuff. He only did the stuff he saw was super, super important, and he couldn't trust her with.
Yep. That was such a good trilogy.
Oh, it's so good.
It was like we finally got a story of dark side users just being not evil, but just doing their thing instead of them turning to the light. It was so good.
Which
it was
kind of the vibe we get from these two. They're just doing their thing.
I don't necessarily think they're evil. I honestly don't even know if they're using dark side. Like, when we've seen them, they don't seem like overly angry and aggressive. They seem very methodical.
Well, exactly. I mean, to highlight that point, going back to the very beginning of the show, not this episode, but the first episode, when they go aboard that prison transport, he tries to walk past the captain, and the captain stops him and insists on kind of calling him out. And that's when he has to, show his hand, basically,
Yeah, use force. It's not just Darth Vader showing up at the end of Rogue One and killing everyone.
Exactly.
But even Bane, right? Even Bane, killing unnecessarily was not his thing. He actually spoke against it. Unless it served a purpose, you didn't just kill.
Right.
Yeah, which is why Bane is the best Sith of all time. I mean, that's
pretty much.
It's the one where it's like, hey, I wouldn't mind if he was rolling. Like, it doesn't.
I mean, the only other one, the only other novel that I'm like, oh, I don't know, Plagueis, right? Like,
right.
But that's another one that kind of exemplified the same kind of ideals.
Yeah, it's like we're not. I love it when it's not dark side users are just pure evil and kill everyone like Palpatine. Like, I mean, Palpatine had his whole thing, but he was definitely the most evil out of all of them.
Well, that was a good thing about that novel too. Is like it really showed that.
Yeah, getting super off.
Palpatine had an exceptional ruthlessness.
Yeah, he killed his parents with like no remorse.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. What a novel. But it's funny that we're going to all these like different books and topics because this really does feel like expanded universe stuff.
It does.
I think out of like
I think I know the reason for that. I think it's right here, written by Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, right. but seriously, out of anything we've gotten, because Filoni did a lot of Mandalorian as well, didn't he? I know Favreau did.
Not writing.
Not writing. Favreau was doing the writing. Dave was just the one who was telling Favreau, you can't do that because this happened, and keeping him on track in the lore, in canon.
Okay. Well, without like this doesn't feel like Disney Star Wars to me in the best way possible.
Agreed.
I think Disney has done good stuff, but this feels like expanded universe Star Wars or like Legends Star Wars.
This vibe we got going on in this show so far is exactly the vibe I expected to get out of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
This is the vibe I was expecting.
Really?
Yeah, this feels like Star Wars more than anything we've done. It's got the quips, it's got the quips, it's got the lightsabers, it's got the ships. It's just got everything going for it. We'll see where the story goes, right?
That's fair. I mean, we're already 3 episodes in. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and I don't feel like the story's really been established much yet. It's kind of complaint I got a little bit. Okay, they're looking for Thrawn. That's all we got. We knew that in the trailer.
Right.
We haven't got past that. So,
well, okay. I want to touch on this Star Wars, feeling like Star Wars thing some more. During Sabine's training, right? Just after it, they're sitting down to have a drink, and Ahsoka's explaining to Sabine that, look, the Force is within everyone, right? This is very reminiscent of, Yoda. It's in the tree, the rock,
Mm-hmm.
And kind of flies in the face of what Hu Yang is saying, about Sabine being the worst, but I really get the feeling that Ahsoka's trying to tap into the Force, bringing out the Force out of kind of like the layperson, the person who doesn't tap into it, who doesn't have the high midichlorian count.
Yeah, the person that isn't like a Rey or a Luke that has like crazy connections.
Exactly. Because
how many Reys have there been?
But this is something that George used to talk about in interviews and stuff. He's like, everybody has a connection to the Force. Like everybody. Right. And when he would say stuff like that, like as a kid, every single one of us, I will bet you, every single one of us at the breakfast table stuck your hand out and tried to pull the cup to your hand. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, that was the most relatable scene I've ever seen in Star Wars in any media.
That right there is the kind of stuff that connects to the viewers.
It is.
That.
And I love that it didn't move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it would have been such a cop-out if it moved. I think.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yes.
I think it not moving made it seem like, oh yeah, she's one of us. Like, but or I guess she's still trying. She's still doing the fight, right? She didn't give up hope. I don't know. I like that scene a lot.
It's that kind of stuff that also takes me back, because I would consume everything I could. I remember George Lucas talking about how, everybody has the ability to tap into it to some degree, but there are those outliers that are the Jedi, Well,
that conversation with Hu Yang, right? Like, she says, I don't need her to be a Jedi.
Exactly.
I need her to be her.
Right.
She is looking to get Sabine to tap into the Force in a way that just enhances her ability. Yes. Not in a way that's going to make her another Ahsoka or a Rey or a Luke Skywalker. No, she's trying to make a better version of Sabine.
Right.
But it's still going to be Sabine.
Yep.
It's not going to be Jedi Knight Sabine Wren.
Yeah, like
it's going to be Sabine Wren.
I don't need Sabine like throwing boulders at the end of this.
Exactly. Yes.
But such a good. I don't know. I feel like overall this episode had easily my favorite moments out of all three, I guess, current episodes.
Well, agreed. And you mentioned how you felt better about Hera. I felt better about Sabine this week.
Best of Doug, who'd you feel better about?
Hu Yang, yeah. No.
Yeah, there you go. All right, he was more of a character. He was more lovable.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I liked every character in this episode. Every character has grown on me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and I don't want to come across as being like negative or anything because, you know, I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this had, I don't know. This had the parallels. You know what I'm saying? The what do they call it? The Star Wars. They call it the ring theory or something. I forget.
Oh no, it's like poetry, right?
So,
it rhymes,
right? So even
whatever this thing is,
even Hera appealing to that Council of Senators, right? That Thrawn's a threat, you know, and we need to investigate this. That is reminiscent to me of what was described of Leia trying to get through to the New Republic about the New Order, right? Is it
the First Order?
The First Order.
100%.
Yes. So it's like that paralleled that in a big way to me. So it's
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
okay.
I know we are where we are, but you have the Chancellor and prominent senators there.
Kaz is dead. Yeah.
Did anybody think it was weird that you didn't have Leia in a moment like this?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well, we would have to.
Oh, I didn't
where
even
exactly
think about that.
are we? Because she kind of broke from her New Republic ties
This
to help
soon?
form the resistance. I don't know. That's
Wait,
the
no,
thing.
wouldn't she still be doing Jedi stuff?
She might be. I don't know.
I figured she was doing
I mean, she
Jedi
wasn't
stuff.
with Luke and the Mandalorian right
That's
before
a great
this.
point. That's a great point. Real quick before we jump, because I want to jump on that. But one thing I really liked acting-wise this episode was when Hera brought up Thrawn's name. I feel like Mon Mothma, right? That was her.
Yes.
Actor's different. Threw me off, but yeah. Her reaction to that, her face kind of like went sunken a little bit.
Right.
And everyone else, you could tell, is like, who the hell's that?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes, because Mon Mothma was there during the Rebels
She
era.
fought it, yeah.
And yes,
Like even before Hera did the like, did you fight in this war?
right.
I really like that we kind of got to see that reaction. Like, they're conceited because they weren't there, but the fact that like she knew who Thrawn was and that reaction, it was such a small point, but I really like that they put that in.
I will say this: that sunken face that Mon Mothma did was the redeeming quality for me with Mon Mothma here. Because I'm kind of like, why the hell does Mon Mothma now look like she did prior to the war? Like, how does she go from looking like she did in Andor to looking like she did during, like,
yeah. I mean,
back to what she looked like during Andor? I'm like, what? And then that look, I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
right, she just got back in stately attire. That's all.
She had Botox. Out of all characters, I really do wonder why they keep including her and everything. Like, maybe it's because I didn't watch the original trilogy till later on, but I was never like attached to her character or anything. She didn't really do anything. But they keep including her. But anyway, I did like her reaction. I thought that was cool. And after this episode, I am sadly with you guys on the. I think Thrawn's going to show up in the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that might be true.
it's just the fact that this episode didn't. I mean, I loved. This is my favorite episode of the series so far, but the fact that we still are not in a different galaxy, we're still in the same area. I could see the whole next episode being a forest episode or whatever, and they're like hunted down.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they got to fight on that that map room. So
yeah, which I really hope they do different stuff, because I don't like the fact that like we're kind of on the same board of, yep, this is going to happen. I don't like knowing what's going to happen.
I'll say this though. What I do like about that though, and the idea of that is they've slowed down that pace that the Mandalorian had ramped up ridiculously. So storytelling as a pace in the Mandalorian was really fast. He's here, he's there, he's here, he's there. This has slowed down a little bit. You've week to week, you're progressing in the same story. It's not jumping around. There's not so much in the gap. Not so much happened off screen.
Yeah.
So I like that.
That is true. I mean,
it's way more like, when you're watching a story arc in the Clone Wars or Rebels.
Right. It makes sense for episodic television.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's Dave Filoni, right? This is how he did it
Right.
before.
Right. So I did want to point out, you're talking about Ahsoka not being a Jedi and all of that kind of stuff. And I love this line by Huyang where he says, "You come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi."
Oh,
and
yes.
It was like, wow. It's like there's a connection like to Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes, it's
Ahsoka.
not just Anakin.
Right.
I love that
It's
so
like,
much. And it's also
wow.
Count Dooku.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
It's like, it's a long line. Honestly, I feel like Obi-Wan was pretty basic. I don't know what other word to describe it, but
the most traditional of the Jedi in that line.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That one I actually had to think about.
Really?
Like,
You're
because
like,
he says
what
long
is
line.
line?
I'm like,
Yeah.
how the hell is Anakin a long line?
Yep.
And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, wait. You think about it, it's like, oh, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn,
Yes.
Count Dooku, like this. That is a line.
Yes.
Very, very like that's a messed up family tree.
Right. Exactly.
It is. And the more we keep seeing of like this kind of stuff, like
Best part about that though is it leads back to Yoda.
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah, leads back to Yoda.
I know you hate Yoda.
I hate Yoda.
Right, but that kind of puts him in that line of fault, right? Like,
yeah.
It does.
It takes away from that. Like, I know you don't like Yoda because of this perception of perfect, right?
Yeah. Well, the prequel.
This is
Yoda.
one of those
I
moments
like
where
the original trilogy Yoda.
Wait, what's that?
The prequels Yoda is the one I have a problem with. Like the random warrior, the not doing anything, not stepping up. That's the one I have a problem with.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, it would be prequel Yoda. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till one day when you get to High Republic Yoda.
Wait, he's in it?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, starting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's only 200 years before. Why would Yoda be there?
I know
wait.
that makes sense. I just figured for that it's almost like a new IP, and they would try to make all new characters.
He's used minimally.
Okay, that makes sense. Like it's just kind of a reference, but
yeah.
I don't see him being like a major character. But sorry.
You know who else is there?
Yaddle. Oh, Yaddle? Yeah.
Of course.
I didn't think for a second, but yeah.
Okay.
So, I did have one complaint.
Okay. Lay it on us.
There is one thing they do from time to time in Star Wars that I don't like. And it's more prevalent in the Disney era. This need to explain stuff when naming something. So when Hu Yang says a kind of space whale named Purgle, I'm like, do we have to hit it on the head like that?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have to say space whale?
Yes.
Yes.
Because that is for everyone who did not watch Rebels.
Which is so many people.
I get that, but can you use a descriptor that connects you to the creatures you just saw without saying space, without using such an earthly name? Like, to say space whale is something that would be in the slang when you're describing it to your friend.
It felt too real. Did they straight up said space whale?
They said space whale.
Weird.
Doesn't bother me that much.
It doesn't bother me that much for sure.
Because,
I thought it was a nod to like what Rebels fan called them. Kind of like a haha.
It is, but like I don't know. Like when it shows up in the dialogue, and especially when it uses it as like the earthly descriptor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whale. And not only whale, but to say space whale. It's like, it's a little too nail on the head for me. I just don't like it. It's not like it like disrupts anything for me or anything like that, but I just don't like it.
Yeah. I
think it was the way they could explain what they were to the non-Rebels watchers with brevity. I mean,
just seeing them though. First off, they are terrifying.
Yeah.
I saw someone describe them as like majestic, and I was like, no, these look like eldritch monsters, like a Cthulhu beast thing. Like, I don't know. I thought it was awesome how it shot, and they just showed up through the clouds. I thought at first, because we got that little snippet from before, that we were just gonna see like a little fin or something, but no, we got full Purgles. Like, it was awesome.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And just that one line from Sabine saying, "Oh, nothing. Just the last time I saw him was when Ezra was here."
Right.
That had the most emotion in any line she's delivered thus far.
Agreed.
Like, that hit hard.
But so I'd like to point out one thing. What did they call owls? Like the owl-like creature in the Mortis trilogy?
It had a specific name. It was
Conver?
Yes, something like that.
Conver or something like that.
I thought there was only one, and it was a specific like a pronoun, like an actual like name.
I thought they had a species name for it. It was like Conver or something like that. But like, that's one of those examples where I'm like, yeah, see, like they didn't say it was a space owl, you know?
Yeah, you could have said like, "Oh, this is just a Purgle," like, and that's it, right?
Or described it in another way, like
more.
I have to say space whale. Just take the Earth thing. Like they didn't call what's an example? They didn't call banthas like desert mammoths, you know, like.
Sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I get it too. I mean, you know, they also talked about hot chocolate in Heir of the Empire. You know, I
thought that was dumb.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, it's not unprecedented.
Like, if you're gonna call it hot chocolate, why not just call it coffee?
Well, because they call it calf.
Because it's hot chocolate. It's not coffee.
Calf's kind of right on the nose too.
Yeah. Also, like, maybe, you know, whale is an ancient species. This is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Maybe these were just space whales.
Right.
Okay.
You are.
It also does make me think, because Hu Yang knew about these. I'm imagining like a bunch of whales on Coruscant, because I'm guessing that's where he came from. Just a bunch of whales on Coruscant.
That's one thing that I'm a little, I don't want to say bothered by, but there's, stories in the Jedi archives of intergalactic travel.
Oh.
It's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, we've never heard about this before.
Right.
Not in anything.
We also never met Baylan Skoll.
Yes.
True.
But like the galaxy thing is such a bigger thing, because every single Star Wars thing says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, not in galaxies. So I feel like this is like the biggest thing.
But the Jedi Archives thing is always been kind of a cop out, right?
Yeah, it's like the library.
Every time they introduce something new, it's in the archives.
Right.
Fair. Because I think like even like, tell me if I'm wrong, but even in EU, the only thing we ever heard about a different galaxy was like people coming from it.
Yes.
I don't think we ever went to a different galaxy.
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
So that makes this exciting. I'm just hoping Ahsoka does her whole new Jedi Order, not Jedi, but you know what I mean, new Force users in a different galaxy and lives happily ever after.
Oh, wow.
It might just be the Disney setup to switch galaxies so they don't have to keep doing things to this one.
Wouldn't that be so good?
Oh, boy.
Filoni's just like, my turn, and does a different galaxy.
That could be interesting.
It could be. I feel like there's still more stuff to talk about in the episode. I'm trying to think back.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Stuff that felt like really Star Warsy to me. The space battle. I mean, that was lifted right out of A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
The tail gunner seat and all that. Which
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so reminiscent of that to me.
Was it? Okay.
The ships that Shin and her compatriots were flying.
Before you move on,
yeah.
Just talk about the tail gunner thing and that ship. The moment where they did the roll.
Yeah.
The wings just rolled around the cockpit like they didn't actually roll.
Yes.
I was like, that was a bad move. You should have got shot for that one. I'm just saying.
Oh, hey.
But yeah, go ahead. It was like in Family Guy. Like, that's your big maneuver? You just listed lazily.
Yes. So the ships, like the one Shin was flying, reminded me of like old World War II fighters. Like
that's what.
That was cool looking.
That was Dave Filoni.
That was a Filoni
right there.
Influence, totally, absolutely. I loved it. I recognized it. And I thought, yes, and it just made me smile. I dug them. I mean, that whole bit, I got a feeling that some people are probably going to, criticize, we talked about it already, but Ahsoka getting out on the wing and being in space, doing lightsaber fighting and whatever.
Oh, they have.
I think
those people like Star Trek too.
Probably, yes.
What the one thing
that just doesn't make sense. It's Star Wars. Shut up.
Yeah, it's not sci-fi. It's fantasy. The one, it's so funny you say that, because obviously I have seen that stuff, be it Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram. The whole sound in space thing. I feel like they're kind of just like laughing at the people that complained about that when they had Ahsoka's lightsaber sound go off.
Right.
It's just kind of like, come on, this is fantasy.
It is. And, think about how boring it would be if there was no sound out there.
Yeah, could you imagine space without John Williams?
Right.
I do, actually, well, one sec. I do think that scene actually would have been kind of cool if it was just completely dead silent. and she was just
without
doing
a
that
doubt.
stuff. I mean, that could be a cool like shot, but is John Williams doing the score? Who's doing the score
No,
to
no.
Ahsoka?
I have no idea.
That's
That is
actually
a
something I haven't
great-
seen anything on.
Great
Oh.
question.
Because there is some new music, and it feels like it's fitting. I mean, obviously there's older stuff, and I think there's stuff from Rebels I've heard.
So I'm wanting to say it might be Kiner, but God, I might be wrong. Yes.
Kevin Kiner.
Yes, Kiner.
He did, remind me?
He did the Clone Wars.
Okay. Huh. Now he's in the big leagues.
Yeah, Ahsoka's theme.
Yeah.
Kevin Kiner. Trying to see, like, I'm not seeing a full-on credit for him scoring Ahsoka. Just some themes.
Well, whoever's doing it, like, it feels like Star Wars, so good job.
Well, if it's Kevin Kiner, it makes total sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. That's really cool. I just it's one of the things that I feel like before all the movies we always hear about. Like,
Yes,
who's
Kevin
scoring
Kiner.
it.
Yep.
So
Kevin Kiner is scoring Ahsoka.
Which totally makes sense. He's worked with Dave before, you know.
yeah, this definitely feels like Dave Filoni's show.
Man, I don't know. I have to say, just some of those things that I was talking about earlier, all of that, the culmination of all of that, you know, not being able to move the cup, the tail gunner fight scene, you know, all that kind of stuff, all of that all together just makes this feel Star Warsy to me. And whereas some of the shows as of late have kind of strayed from that, you know?
You really
Oh,
didn't
without
like
a doubt.
Andor.
I did like Andor. I did. But you could set, and I think Tony Gilroy says as much, you could set that whole story in a different galaxy and it would do just fine. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a rebellion story.
Yeah.
It
It would
sucks
work
because,
great
like,
in Marvel.
yeah, well, it sucks because I want the
Not
dialogue.
too much story for Marvel.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I want the dialogue from Andor in something as, I guess, Star Warsy as Ahsoka. 'Cause I feel like
I'm with you there.
yeah, the dialogue for Andor was easily better than anything we've gotten. And I hate that, like, a lot of Star Wars projects almost have to say, like, oh, bad dialogue, haha, it's Star Wars, instead of just giving it better dialogue.
Gotcha.
That's
Well-
one of my biggest complaints over the entire Star Wars, I guess.
Well, what I don't want to go down an Andor rabbit hole here,
We don't need to.
but like
I
what
like the show.
but what I love so much about Andor is Rogue One, while it hit on the notes of the original trilogy and all that, it was different,
Yes.
right? It was different but familiar.
Yep.
Andor did the same thing. Andor had a very different feel, things like that, but it hit on the right notes at the right time. So it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Ahsoka, this is one I expected to kind of hit on the notes, kind of on the head, right? I didn't expect it to be super, super different. But hit on the notes like Rebels, like the Clone Wars, not like the original trilogy. And so far to me, it's doing that. It's hitting on what it's supposed to hit on.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm curious if it's going to change at all once Thrawn is actually introduced as a character, because I did expect Ahsoka, before watching it at least, to be a bit darker. Not as dark as Andor, but not to have as many jokes and like the happy chemistry moments as Rebels or anything like that.
See,
Interesting.
I didn't expect that at all. I expected it to be just like Rebels or Clone Wars.
Well, I was just thinking at the end of Rebels ended. It was so sad in such a serious moment. Like, we're going to go get Ezra, and it was a fully Gandalf the White Ahsoka, like ready to go out into space. It didn't seem like there was time for them to do the joking thing. But I think in general, season 4 of Rebels was a lot more serious than the rest of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, they also made jokes after they made me cry, so.
Did they?
Rebels?
Yeah, because I in my head, spoiler alert, once Kanan died, it was pretty much.
There was a tonal shift.
Yeah, huge tonal shift.
But there was still some of your moments. Especially during the battle on Lothal. There were moments where they lightened the mood a little bit.
Oh yeah, like when they killed Rook.
Yeah.
And they made it a joke.
Right.
No, but I feel like that sounded sarcastic, but I'm serious. Like they killed Rook, but they made it like, oh, haha, he's vaporized.
Yes. That's why I laughed.
yeah, no.
No, it was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger joke, right? Like,
yeah,
like stick around, right? Like,
Yeah, I feel like there was still some levity in that with like, our old clones and stuff too, right?
yeah.
And I understand what you're saying. Like the very immediate episode after Kanan's death was also very emotional.
Yes.
So, like, I get what you're saying, because it did take a minute to pick back up, but it still had its light moments. Like, they had moments when they were trying to sneak into the temple, right?
Yeah.
Or on the other gateway or whatever?
Yeah, before the World Between Worlds stuff.
Yeah.
I do think all the joking moments of that time was the problems I had with like the episodes and stuff. Like I feel like it did the whole Kanan thing, and then it being serious was so good that when they did the joke stuff, it felt out of place. It could just be me. I really like the serious take of Rebels that it turned down.
Oh, I mean, but I didn't feel like
more.
I didn't feel like the jokes took away from the severity of the situation. I never felt that way. There was definitely a tonal shift, and I thought they maintained it. But the jokes reminded you that you're watching Star Wars. Because I think if they didn't do it, I wouldn't have felt like I was watching Star Wars.
That's such a big statement, because it's like, what does that mean, right? It's like you wouldn't feel like you're watching Star Wars. What does that mean?
I mean, Star Wars has always been like, it's serious, but
it's never taken
it's lighthearted at the same time.
Serious. Yeah.
It's a kid show, man. Like George Lucas said it. It's for kids. And I feel like if you just got to get too deep all the time, then it's not for kids anymore.
Well,
and that's not Star Wars. This is not what George Lucas set out to do.
I just like it. I mean, we're at the point where it's such a big thing that it can be a lot of things.
It is a lot of things, and it should be all those things at the same time. It doesn't have to like, oh, we hit this moment, so now it's just serious from here on out. No, it's got to be everything at the same time.
I think as long as it makes sense in the story.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like,
I think them joking after their father figure died like a day ago seems a little out of place.
Well, they didn't do that. The entire next episode was still crazy sad.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But then, I don't know. That just them having a joking matter at all to me doesn't make sense.
Like I can remember that next episode very, very vividly.
Oh,
like when they landed and Sabine like throws her helmet and storms off, like I'm starting to get choked up again. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah,
right.
It's so good. Like,
You know, like
and honestly, I hope we hit that kind of emotional high in Ahsoka. Because we know, trying to transition back to the show a little bit, we know Anakin's going to show up. We know Hayden Christensen filmed something for this. And I'm hoping there's some kind of breakthrough with her being Ahsoka. Like, that, I don't know, she's able to process, she's able to overcome her, like, guilt for what happened to him.
Okay, so that's a good question. Do you guys feel like Ahsoka has, like, her, we'll call it broodiness at this point in the show stems from that to some degree? Like,
I think it's guilt.
Is she feel...
Extremely,
okay.
Yeah, guilt.
Yeah,
it's what Obi-Wan went through in his series, and that he was able to overcome in the end. But I feel like Ahsoka's is even worse because that's her master, and they were more of like brother and sister.
Right.
She said it. She walked away from him.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did say
didn't
that.
really like hit on that. She walked away from the order. No, she walked away from him.
Right.
That's what she said. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, she's totally feeling guilt.
Yeah, her entire life is. Yeah, she. Ugh. It's brutal.
I guess that could explain, a lot of the reason why she doesn't hang out with Luke too much. I mean, I've heard people ask the question, is like, why wouldn't she do, like, it's
I
like,
mean,
Luke killed Anakin.
constant reminder,
I feel like they should almost be bonded through trauma. Right? Like, Luke took off the mask, but technically Luke kind of did kill Vader.
Right.
I don't know. I hope we get more with them together. I really do.
It would be cool.
Because they really have the perfect, like, oh, you went through what I went through.
Like, and then think about this. Not only that, but she told him on I can't remember what planet, but in that one Sith temple, right?
Yeah.
She said she wasn't leaving this time, and then Ezra pulled her through the gate.
Right.
Yeah. She's like, damn it.
So she just keeps turning her back on this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see something I wanted to ask you guys about. People were talking, I think this was because of this episode or whatever, seeing Ahsoka do this stuff in space and just how powerful she is. They were on Malachor, right? When the battle happened?
Sounds right.
That was I think that's Malachor 4 or something. Sorry if that's wrong, but I've been seeing people saying that Vader was amped up on dark side energy because of the planet. Do you guys think that? Do you think that was giving him like an edge at all?
Giving him an edge?
Yeah, like giving him more power. Because a lot of people were saying like if it was a normal situation, Ahsoka could have beaten Vader. I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
I mean,
I don't know.
like take the Luke has to eventually redeem him, whatever. Take that out of the situation. Do you think Ahsoka could have beaten him?
Do you think Ahsoka lost to him? Or do you think all along she was pulled through?
I think she would have died without Ezra's intervening.
But do you think Vader would have survived?
He almost didn't.
I don't think either one of them survived that conflict if she doesn't get pulled through.
Really? I thought Ezra pulled her through like right when she was about to be killed.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that right before.
Oh, I think she would have died.
I think it was right before the killing blow. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I remember from that. Yes.
Right, but never saw a killing blow, and we never saw. I don't think that the scene you saw where Vader was walking away all torn up. I think that happened anyway.
Yes.
Ahsoka got pulled through anyway.
It did happen anyway.
So I don't think if they stay locked in combat, I don't think he survives either, because that temple's collapsing. I think they both die. I think Ezra, not only by saving Ahsoka, keeps Vader alive.
Interesting.
I think his actions had more repercussions than just Ahsoka surviving. I think Vader dies as well if Ahsoka's not pulled through there.
So you saying that almost makes me think, like, if that's true, right? If that, like, the Force itself is manipulating Ezra at that point.
Could be.
Maybe, yeah.
What do you think, Doug? What do you think about that situation?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to, like, I hate, like, rating, which Force user has more power and this and that. That's not really how I look at this stuff. I usually just tend to, like, let these stories kind of flow over me and just take them in, I don't know.
Right.
I just, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, I think I'm kind of like, I really like the Flash, right? So
yeah.
The Flash comics, the Flash
as a character, right? Not the movie.
The movie was okay. It was okay. It could have been worse.
I liked it without the CGI, honestly. But anyway.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. But either way, the Flash, like, every time the Flash went back in time, there were mad repercussions all across everything. A ton of stuff got changed. Right? Not just one event. There was a ripple, and there's other threads that get established. Like the whole multiverse thing is almost Flash's fault, right? Like,
yeah, in DC, yeah, but like the butterfly effect and everything else, yeah.
So, like, I think that when I watched that scene with Ahsoka and Ezra pulling her through, I don't think Ahsoka surviving is the only thing that's affected in that timeline. So I wholeheartedly believe that if Ahsoka doesn't get pulled through there, they both die. And that a lot of the things that happen with Vader after that never happen.
It's very possible. I mean, the events of Rebels from that point forward would be completely different,
Exactly.
Everything would be.
And I look at where Vader was walking down the steps after that temple collapses and stuff, and he's banged up.
Right.
Barely walking out of there. But I feel like Ezra didn't go back and change what happened there. That had already happened. Like, that happened in that moment. Ezra pulled her through. That's just the way the timeline worked out. He didn't change it per se. It still happened that way. But if he doesn't make that choice, I think they're both dead in there. They die together. And she stays true to her word. She didn't leave him.
So, for the Empire to have as long of a rule as it had is all Ezra's fault.
Partially, yeah.
well, also, like, how would Palpatine never lose if not for Vader?
Right.
It's kind of like, yep.
True.
Millions need to die in order for it eventually to fall.
Interesting.
That's an interesting point of view. I straight up think, I mean, technically, mechanically, I think if anyone was to beat Vader, who is more of a slow-moving force, Ahsoka's form of fighting could. I think he taught her everything, and that would make the most sense. So I kind of like the idea that Malachor was kind of fighting against her. She was like fighting two different people almost, but...
Well, I mean, I can't say there's precedent for that. There used to be precedent for that.
Yeah.
Because in the EU, being on a dark side attuned world, they fed off of that.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, they kind of showed it even, I would say, in Rise of Skywalker, how strong Palpatine was. Because he was on that planet.
Was that planet a dark side attuned world?
Wasn't it like the ultimate Sith super planet that was never talked about ever before in any media? But now this is the ultimate home world of the Sith.
Oh, I thought that was Moraban, formerly Korriban.
Oh, no, that was just the super one. This is the super ultra world.
Oh, yeah, super.
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
No, but I think they
Yes.
did use a little bit of that. That was like, oh yeah, this is the ultimate dark side world. That's why he was so powerful.
What the hell was the name of that planet? Exegol.
cares?
Right?
Exegol.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
Exegol.
Yeah. Hopefully it's Death Starred. How do the sequels just always come up?
I don't know.
Because it's all canon now.
That is,
It's
that is
all
true.
canon. Yeah, you're right.
We had all this good stuff. Yeah, we had some bad stuff, but we had good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Just wipe that out. Oh, that matters. Especially like, and I've said this before. What a rabbit hole, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
Right.
No doubt.
But I've said this before. Like the EU was finally hitting a really good stride after really a few years of just weird. But it was hitting a really good stride at that time with like Plagueis and
Tarkin.
and Tarkin was that before the Switch?
I don't recall. It was around that time, though. I mean,
Yeah, I think it was before the Switch because
Might have been.
Catalyst is the one I keep.
Catalyst was good,
It was good, but that was one of the first ones of the new canon
right?
because that was the Rogue One tie-in.
Yes.
I keep crossing Tarkin with that because Tarkin was so prevalent in Catalyst.
Yes, he was.
But yeah, you had Tarkin, Plagueis, Kenobi.
Yep.
Like the EU was hitting a stride. And it was a shame that they had to cut it then.
Right.
Because we got away from dropping moons on Chewbacca, right? Like we got
Yeah.
New Jedi
we-
Order ended when, like, 2008 or something?
Oh,
Because that was the Yuuzhan Vong stuff. I thought, like, that was really old. I thought.
yeah. When it ended, I'm not sure.
I thought Plagueis was, like, way older than that. I didn't know it was right before the Switch.
Oh,
it was
no.
right before the Switch.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
Before.
I
Yes.
thought, like, the last series was the whole, like, Abeloth stuff. The Fate of the Jedi series when Luke, like, went into exile and stuff.
No, Plagueis was like right before.
Yep. In
Like
fact, I
Kenobi
think-
was the last one.
I remember that book, and I remember it not being that great. I
Kenobi?
thought. And then the series got announced eventually, and I was like, eh. It's like, does there need to be one?
I enjoyed that book.
I enjoy Kenobi.
But Plagueis, it might have released the same year that Disney got sold. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now
Such an
I will say,
important book.
Star Wars Publishing came out the gate really, really good in the post-acquisition era. It came out super strong.
What came out?
Well, you had A New Dawn.
Right.
You had Catalyst. What was the Ventress one?
Oh, the one with
Dark Disciple?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know, so like they came out the gate super strong. You had Lords of the Sith.
Yep.
That was I thought that was okay.
It was okay, but like it was the distraction stuff that made that book meh.
Yeah.
Then
and the
you
Thrawn
got
trilogy.
then you got to Aftermath. And we just said, sorry for this, but we just said, fuck it.
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna say it if you didn't.
That's funny.
I got halfway through that, and I think I threw the book away.
Oh, I stopped.
Yeah, I was so.
I still don't know what happens in the last book. Have no idea.
That's
don't
funny.
care. It doesn't matter.
You know what's funny is Doug got through that one. Doug, High Republic, better than Aftermath.
There you go.
Really? Man, that's a high bar.
Bar wasn't high, but
I
it's
was
better.
gonna say. Yeah, by the way, January of 2012, Darth Plagueis came out.
When did the switch happen?
It was sometime in 2012.
Oh, it was 12. Okay, I thought it was 14. Okay.
No, I was super upset when this happened because they're like, "Oh, all the EU is bad." It's like you're not counting Plagueis, right?
I remember that happening right when I was getting really into it. Like I was going through New Jedi Order and all the Yuuzhan Vong stuff, and they're like, "Hey, none of this matters anymore." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm like 14 books in. This doesn't matter anymore."
Well, that must be nice only to have 14 books wiped out.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a 25 book series or something like that.
Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the date that Disney bought Lucasfilm.
The exact date.
Well,
I feel like it should be a holiday, kind of like a Day of the Dead type deal
a holiday.
with Star Wars.
Jeez.
Yeah.
October 26, 2012.
Coming up.
I like that. We're gonna make it like a Day of the Dead kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Like celebrate the old, you know?
Well,
Uh,
I would say, to bring this back around, Dave's doing a good job of celebrating the old in Ahsoka so far. So there we go.
Yeah, that's a great way to bring it back around. What a crazy rabbit hole.
yeah. Welcome to the Wars and More. Like this is what we do.
This
And
is
more and more and more.
And more rabbit holes.
That should be the real name, yeah.
Yeah, it should be the Wars and Rabbit Holes.
Yep.
Yes.
Flows real easy.
Yeah, it's just kind of what we do. But I mean, in reality, though, compared to most rabbit holes, this was all relevant.
It is. It is.
So we did good.
It's just you need to really be up on your Star Wars knowledge to understand most of it.
Which is the main complaint on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
About
and that was
Ahsoka?
the thing I was worried about last week. That you need to know, you need to watch all of Clone Wars, all of Rebels to even understand what's going on.
I don't think you do, though.
I don't either.
I think to enjoy it as much as we did, 100%.
Well, that's fair.
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. You're probably going to have more insight as someone who has seen all that stuff. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
someone
because
who hasn't-
most people aren't going to go, they put Jason in here?
right.
Yeah, and also like Purgles, right? That whole thing, like, what? What is that?
No, they
No,
explained it.
it's a space whale.
Yeah, but us seeing them in Rebels and what they did was such a bigger deal. Same
Sure.
thing with Thrawn, like, oh, who's Thrawn? I don't even care about this guy. Who's Ezra? I don't care about
I'm
this
sorry,
guy.
but if you are enough of a Star Wars fan to get on Rotten Tomatoes and write a shitty review, you should know who Thrawn is.
If they're writing reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, that means they've probably watched half of a Star Wars movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
But like, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna talk about how this isn't Star Wars, blah 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 blah, and you don't know who Thrawn is, you don't know Heir to the Empire, like, I'm sorry, you can't be on there going, "This isn't Star Wars."
If you haven't experienced most of it, I mean, that's fair.
You know, like it's the guy who goes, "This isn't really Star Wars." That's a guy who read the EU, right? Like,
yeah. Do you have any funny reviews? I know last week we went through some reviews.
Oh, I didn't pull any up, but let's see if I can just pull up a couple real quick.
A good segment.
It's not bad. It's not bad. We can make it weekly.
Because I feel like they're going to get worse each week, right?
Oh,
it only went down a little bit, though.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it was at 79. What, last week it was like 84 or something.
Okay, that's still pretty high.
It's a drop, but it's not.
It's not like 60.
Yeah. Okay, I screwed up apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you just put in Ahsoka and hit enter, you get a bunch of stuff that isn't that.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, it's down to 75. I can't remember what it was like. I think it was in the 80s though, wasn't it?
I think it was like mid to high 80s.
Okay, so let's find some audience reviews.
Huh.
Did they shut them off?
They turned off the review. That'd be funny.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I do. Next week, I should have at least some reviews from a couple of my friends who I got to watch Ahsoka that have never watched Rebels or Clone Wars.
Oh.
They've only seen like the movies.
Oh, that'd be good.
So I'll be able to kind of back up my fears, I guess, about how people experience this without knowing everything. I do think that's something to worry about when you're putting that much money into something like this.
I can't find
getting multiple seasons, because obviously we'd love a bunch of this.
Huh. That'd be good to hear the take. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me scroll down here. Okay, I think I found them now.
Well, you had to scroll down, so that's pretty good.
All right, worst thing to happen to Star Wars since Obi-Wan Kenobi and The Last Jedi. Beyond awful.
Wait, Obi-Wan Kenobi in The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
Because he was in it.
Well, I think they're talking about the show Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, okay. I was like, what? Interesting. That's all they said?
Okay, here you go. So, we got slow, pacing is atrocious, special effects are good, but it's like it was written for children.
You mean like Star Wars?
You mean like like George Lucas said it was? Weird.
Huh.
That's wild, because I thought the pacing of this episode was way faster than the other two. Like I wasn't bored the first two, but like I wasn't bored for a second this one.
Oh, this is a long one. Yeah, I can't read that one. That's long. This guy finishes with canceling Disney Plus. This was my last shot.
Ooh.
I just can't take the disappointment anymore. But like starts with script amateurish with holes everywhere.
Holes.
I have watched the first 2 episodes and have zero drive to continue due to how bad the script is. I'm reading what they got here. I don't think they should be able to judge on writing because they can't write.
Yeah, they're grammar.
Gotcha. Wow.
I'm trying to find most recent. No, that was one of the most recent. So someone commented after the 3rd episode came out that they only watched the first 2.
Ooh, classic. I
Right.
want to see someone with like valid complaints.
This one's in Spanish, so I don't know.
Because the dialogue, like, sure, I maybe
Unoriginal, unorganized, and really disappointingly frustrating story arc. You don't know what the story arc is because it's not done.
All
well,
right.
let's go find this guy using this MacGuffin.
Yeah, this
To be
guy
fair.
needs to understand what an arc is. You need to see the whole arc to understand if it's an arc.
I mean, yeah.
So okay. So at the beginning of the arc, it sucks.
It's wild.
Nothing special, agonizingly slow pace, a script that has the talent and thoughtful gazes while waiting for direction to utter the next word salad. Invokes Legacy B honor movie script. What the? Invokes
that
Legacy
guy's-
B honor movie scripts where the audience knows the plot will go in most obvious. Whatever.
Wait,
Can't
no,
relate.
that's a valid complaint we might have, right? Because we all think we know what's going to happen. Like, oh yeah, they're going to get to Ezra in the end, and this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So hey, that could be a valid complaint.
Could be.
Could be. I mean,
But you got to
we'll
get to
skip
the
through.
end for it to work. Like, that complaint works if the season's over and you say, look, everyone thought it was going to go this way and it didn't. That complaint doesn't work 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
They're from the future, though. They're in the world between worlds.
Mhm.
Here's a Rosario Dawson seems like she's bored.
I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a bunch of like, oh, Rosario Dawson can act so well. What is she doing in this role? Which, I mean,
Oh, I like this one. Why put this show together during a writer's strike? They didn't. They did it before the writer's
I was
strike.
gonna say, wow. That's
these
something-
aren't as funny as the first
I
week.
wish you could comment on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, and get like actual discussion under.
Well,
what
I was
they're
going to tell them this is what you get out of AI.
doing.
Oh,
And this one is, see, all the negatives are this kind of stuff, right? Just when you think Disney couldn't get any more cringe, they release this garbage. These are the reviews.
yeah.
So, like,
There's-
this is one of those times, right, where I look at the critic score and the audience score and say, okay, I think the critics actually have it together on this one.
Right.
Whereas the other ones, you look at the critic score and the audience is like, critics are at 92 and the audience is like 45. You know, it's like, okay, there's an obvious disconnect here.
Exactly.
Yeah, this one, changing the rules of the Star Wars universe isn't a great way to start. I don't know that
what the
Sabine
galaxy
getting
thing?
stabbed changes the rules.
Oh, that, yeah. Was that?
I mean,
your
they even
review, Doug?
showed it again this week. Do you see where the scar is? That's
I like
non-fatal
that she
wound.
had the scar. I like that she had it. That was cool.
It's non-fatal, man.
Yeah.
The characters lack characterization. That's weird. Call them characters, though. Shallow, one-note characters.
I guess I could see that for. I'm just trying to like think of like what are they thinking? I mean,
The Force is female. That's one of the negative reviews.
I'm seeing that one a lot too. I am actually on IMDb's looking at their reviews.
that's wild.
Yeah.
What? The only flat character out of anything we've seen so far is the person who trained with the Dathomir witches. The one I keep forgetting her name.
Morgan?
Morgan.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about her at all. She seems like a character out of The Mandalorian. But like Balin, Shen,
All right. So I'll be
even
prepared.
Inquisitor.
So this is not proving to be very fruitful. I will be prepared next week, though.
Okay, yeah, give us fun ones.
With let's go to Rotten Tomatoes, like, because right now I'm not finding any good ones. Like these are terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another bad one.
Yeah,
with a lot of words.
Right.
What do you guys agree this was the best episode so far?
I guess, but I don't think it is without the prior two.
Yeah,
so
that's how I feel about it. It's like all three of them so far are kind of a unit, but this had like a lot of the payoff stuff for me, of the three.
Okay. Well,
because I don't think without the events that happened in the first two episodes that this one's any good.
I mean, I guess you could say that for any show, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But this I think more so.
I think this grabbed me much
because
more than
Sabine pointing to her scar, like without her getting stabbed. That doesn't mean anything. Hu Yang's jokes where she says, "Oh, she made the comment like, oh, at least I'm good at that," and he's like, barely,
yeah.
That doesn't work unless she gets her ass kicked.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you can say that for any show, like any decent show. It's like Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards isn't a good episode unless you watched all 6 seasons before.
Well, Game of Thrones, yeah, show's garbage.
Yeah, let's not go there.
that one was always funny to me. Someone's like, "Oh, you got to get through the first 5 and get through the first 5. Oh, you got to get through the first season." This is still garbage.
First 4 are good in my opinion, but anyway.
First 4
worse and more, right? Worse and more.
Game of Thrones would be more, right?
Right.
Game of Thrones, garbage. But anywho.
I don't know. I thought it was the best. I do think it. I really hate when they do these 30-minute episodes for live action.
Oh, I'm with you.
Because it feels too slow. Or not too slow, too fast.
I'll tell you what I really hate about Star Wars on Disney Plus is the varying episode times, period.
Yeah.
It makes sense sometimes, but usually the other way. You have a baseline, sometimes you have a longer one.
Yeah.
There have been episodes of The Mandalorian where I'm like, okay, it made sense it was shorter. If you were to drug this out, it probably would have been a terrible episode.
Yeah.
But you made it shorter because you got your point across and you got out of there. But I think this wide range that they got going on, it's anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour. That's tough.
Yeah, with their budget, like this one could have used 10 minutes more at least of just, hey, maybe they're walking through the forest. Maybe they're talking about what just happened. The ending felt so abrupt that it didn't make sense. Why would this need to be 32 minutes or whatever it was? I'm
thinking maybe we could have got a side plot of Jason and Chopper, like,
I want a whole show. Them being like mass murderers.
Stealing some
mass murderers?
Power converters off of a ship in the hangar. Like, what are you talking about, mass murderers?
It's Chopper.
Oh, Chopper, right, yeah.
It's Chopper, and Jason's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry about my buddy. He's just a silly guy. And then Chopper's like killing hundreds of people.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow. That took a turn.
Am I wrong? It's Chopper.
I never got a mass murderer vibe out of Chopper.
Oh
yeah.
Please.
He did want to shoot the ship down,
and kill civilians. He didn't care. He's like, is that a problem? Why do you care?
So we got like a long string of Chopper wanting to just like do something that would kill a bunch of civilians?
How many people do you think Chopper has killed?
I don't know. Do you have a statistic?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you really?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
I'm going to say 20.
I don't know.
Are you ready for this?
Lay it on.
19 confirmed
19.
kills.
Oh, that was...
And direct kills. Directly, he was the reason he killed them. You ready for this?
How many inadvertent?
49,997 estimated indirect kills using sabotage and 20 estimated kills using explosives.
Excellent.
Wait, where the hell are you getting this?
Oh, the wonderful world of Google.
Wow.
No, that's my favorite thing about Chopper. Like, he is pretty much an AK-47 droid that acts like R2. Like, it. And this was by the end of season 3. Now that I went to some blog or something about it. Yeah, and it says every time he's killed people.
This is crazy.
Yeah, this is why I love Chopper.
He has been responsible for the deaths of over 50,000 characters in the Star Wars franchise.
That's amazing.
Get the hell out of here.
The Chopper's our favorite little mass murderer.
Wow.
Chopper's kill count. Why he's considered one of Star Wars' deadliest characters.
Yeah.
That's Screen Rant.
And I've seen a whole bunch of like memes about Chopper just constantly committing war crimes. Like using biological weapons and stuff.
I love it.
See, I try to hide it behind it. Oh, this is a kid's show, but no, Chopper's a war criminal.
Holy crap.
Okay. Yes, I want that show with him and Jason. Yes.
Yes, right? It'd be so funny. That's how you make comedy.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and ask this. Any final thoughts this week? Maybe actually about this week's episode. Hunter?
Yeah, good episode. Could use more Chopper. Yeah, honestly, I really I loved everything going on here. It made me want more. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, 8 episodes. We are 3 in. Makes me feel a little sad, but hopefully the rest coming are a bit longer and we keep the pace of this episode, because I really thought the pacing of this episode was the best so far. And yeah, I will be here next week.
All right. Doug?
Well, I got to say, I think it's a culmination of all the little stuff that Dave knows how to put in these episodes that makes it feel like Star Wars. It's like, coming home after you've been on vacation. It just feels good. It's like, that's what I got out of this one for sure. I dug it. It's awesome. I'm sure they'll keep it up. And I'm sure we got a whole lot more of that plot to come,
Yeah. Oh, I really like what you hit on right there. Like, it feels like, coming home, right? Like,
yep.
It's just, this episode felt right. Best so far? I mean, yeah, I guess it brought everything together. But yeah, I'm excited for next week. So if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsofmore.com. This is the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, @thewarsofmore on Twitter or X, and facebook.com/thewarsofmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsofmore.com. And we will talk next week.